What's going on, guys? This is Joey Young coming at you with another update. We haven't seen an update on this tank in a couple months, mainly just because I was changing it up a lot and I was trying to let this tank take off. It's still a low-tech tank, as you can see. I have been really messing around with this tank left and right, and I think I'm just going to try to let this tank just settle and do its thing. So before, or I guess in the last video, you saw that I kind of rescaped it. It looked pretty nice, and if I probably let that tank go, it looked something similar to what my 60P did when I first started the tank with the red lilies, or the tiger lotus lilies on the far left. I had it over here in this corner. I had some RA minis in the front here, and had like a nice piece of just rock just sitting right here. And then just on this side, it was, I think, Delanois, those plants back there that I was trying to grow as a carpeting plant in front, and it was doing pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. If I let that go, go probably about a month or two, low tech, whatever, right? Just let it do its thing. It would have gone and grown pretty nicely in. During that time, I just had, I think, 2 puffers in there, and really nothing else except for 2 puffers and just the autos that were in this tank. Since then, every time I do my water change, I come outside, I kind of see, like, all my escaping items that I don't use, I just kind of have it outside. I keep seeing the driftwood that I bought a while back, this was the same driftwood that or a piece of branch, I'm sorry, not driftwood, piece of branch that I use in my 60P scape with the beach theme. I've been using that for a while. It was a 2-piece. This was one of them. I kept staring at it, and I was like, man, none of my tanks have any branches in them. I really like branches. And, all my other tanks have stones. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to remove it. So I kept changing my mind, so I ended up pulling the stone out, putting this branch in because this branch is badass. Decided to use the branch, and I really like it because the branch doesn't really block, that much of the light, but I also wanted it to kind of minimize some of the light as much as possible. Just because I removed the floater plants. I use those as kind of like a screen because I know that this light here is pretty intense and it's low tech, algae blooms, and there's still algae in this tank, don't get me wrong, but it's to minimize the algae, I guess, because every week when I do my water changes, I kind of scrape out some of this here, scrape out some of that there, just to really minimize the growth of algae. And there's nothing wrong with algae, it's just more of looks. I have like a bunch of algae eaters in here. They like to munch on it. I have my shrimps from some of my 60P. I have a couple of them in here, letting them do this thing. They're kind of running around the branch, and plus the branch helps them, let them climb and do their thing, And I added these fish back in here, and there's just 3 of them. They're swimming pretty nicely. There's like maybe a handful of shrimp, 2 autos. The assassin snail is kind of going around. That's my original assassin snail that I had in my 125. He's going around trying to kill, a bunch of these snails that I was trying to populate for the puffers, which I don't have anymore because puffers are actually pretty hard to keep. You kind of, if you're not lucky, which I was not lucky, the only thing they would eat was snails. I was using my 60P as a snail farm tank, and I would literally feed these guys maybe like 15 to 20 snails a day. Like, not your itty bitty snails, not like this. I'm talking about like, almost that assassin snail size. And it worked out for a while, but it got to the point where I wasn't producing enough snails fast enough for them to eat. So they were starving maybe a couple of days here and there. I mean, I tried a bunch of stuff, bloodworms, worms, whatever, right? They wouldn't take those at all. Flakes, obviously they don't like flakes. And then eventually, they kind of starved themselves and died. I mean, what can I say? I did try. And at one point, I dumped like maybe, I want to say like 50 snails to populate this tank. I dumped them all at once. They ate like maybe 10 to 20 of them, and a bunch of them burrowed under the soil. So during the night, you'll see them come out, and then they'll go back in. But basically, these snails that are left over are kind of those snails that survived from not being eaten from those puffers. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Getting back onto the tank, I think I'm going to try to keep this. I'm going to use the dolenoids, plants as the back, I guess the background plants, the taller ones. I have some of these carpeting plants that I've never really used to carpet. I forget what they're called. There's like a, they're not Glosso. Maybe they are. I don't know. Similar to Glosso, but they're carpeting plants in front, so I'm going to try to grow these. They're not really doing much because what happens is, again, a lot of these autos, they can't to dig this crap up, and all this the snail like to move and they keep digging it up. So it doesn't have a chance to kind of root in. But hopefully this will have a nice little carpet. It'll be pretty cool. The dolenoids, I will basically trim them and replant them and make them kind of bushier. And eventually, you know, there's only 3 of them right now. I really just probably need that one to multiply, cut that, put it right there. And that one to grow bigger, cut that and put it right there. And this one, maybe 2 more in front of here. And that's it. And I'll fill in really nicely. Yeah, and then again, I'm not doing, you know, anything crazy with this tank. It's growing really nice, low tech. I'm really surprised. I'm actually really pleased about that. So all you guys out there that think you can't grow like these high lighted plants in low tech, I mean, look at these. It's pretty lush. Just a decent light, and I don't dose any CO2, but I do dose ferts maybe once a week, like literally once a week, and I do my water changes, you know, weekly. So that's the maintenance of this tank. Pretty straightforward, nothing too special, nothing too crazy. But again, hopefully this you guys see maybe in 2 months or so, it will kind of like bloom nicely, and hopefully I don't change it on you guys again. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this scape. I mean, it's really simple. It's not really much of a scape. It literally is just one branch. But I really like the characteristic of this branch. Yeah.